Good morning, everybody. This is Simon J here from the Raffles Crew with the wonderful Thammika Songkaeo, and she is going to talk to us about her book, Stamford Hospital, because in a couple of weeks we're having a curated Sisters of Enheduanna lunch where we will learn all about why Thammika wrote this valuable book, and we will get to ask her questions and understand why it was an important book to write and why the question of trailing spouses, if I can use that term, matters. So the trailing spouse, well, why don't you help us, Thammika? Help us understand what a trailing spouse is and why you wrote the book.
Yeah, sure. So I wrote Stamford Hospital as a form of respect and making space for women that, and men actually, that I thought were not really given a space in society in Singapore. So the book follows a woman who is trapped in Singapore. And when I say trapped, I mean three things. The first is Singapore is not the place she expected to be. Second, she is in a marriage that lacks intimacy. And third, she finds herself in full-time motherhood, which is not a role she expected to have. And these are things that I've gone through personally. And as I was going through these experiences, I started connecting with more people who shared similar experiences. People who said things like, yeah, I was supposed to be here for a year, and then I found out it was 17, et cetera, et cetera. And my life just never got to where I wanted it to be. And when we talked about how that happened, it usually was linked to having a family or being married and one of the partners deciding that Singapore was where they wanted to be, thus derailing the path of the other spouse. So when I wrote this book, at first it was just for myself, but eventually I realized that, hey, actually, if this book can be used to create conversations, to enrich our lives, to respect the place that real people have in our society, I want to push this book out there and use it to make space, to acknowledge the space that real people take up that we just don't talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's incredible. I think it is a really important discussion, and I'm encouraging as many people as possible, both trailing spouses who can be male as well as female, by the way, to come to our lunch, Sisters of Enheduanna at Bayer. You'll see the details at the end of this discussion. It's very interesting, isn't it? Because I mean, the other thing that you could have mentioned is that many jobs in Singapore, particularly senior jobs, involve punishing level of travel. I mean, I came here not thinking I was going to be here very long. I've been here 33 years. And the early part of my career was doing a lot of travel for companies like Accenture and A.T. Kearney. And yeah, it was get on a plane on Sunday night and don't get back till late Friday night and you're absolutely exhausted. And that's tough enough for you, the worker, but it's a lot tougher for the spouse that you're leaving at home, with the kids. So I kind of relate to that.
Yeah, yeah. I think, like you said, there's a lot of roles where people do need a lot of time off. I think strangely, there's something that we celebrate when that person, even if they have to work long hours, there's something still that we celebrate about that. Whereas the person who's at home is seen as doing a repetitive task, and there's very little applause, very little validation going on. So I think even if they share a life that is centered around the same family, because their paths look so different, they are celebrated or not celebrated very differently. And that does very different things to each person's psychology in life. Yeah.
Yeah, we all want to be heard. We all want to be validated. And very often, these spouses, be they male or female, are extremely gifted and have storied careers of their own. So being kind of stopped is a bit of a challenge. Well, look, Thammika, I'm absolutely agog to hear what you've got to say. I'll be moderating for our lunch at the wonderful bar. The food's wonderful. The restaurant itself has a wonderful view of both the Malayan and Marina Bay Sands. I would draw attention to the fact that tickets are selling fast. People might want to sign up. We're particularly interested in hearing from you if you are a trailing spouse or if you've got experience of being in that kind of situation, maybe feeling a bit of domestic isolation because your partner's running around a lot. It's a common thing here. It's funny, such a bustling city, and yet you can be lonely and isolated. I would finally mention, before I thank Thammika for taking time out to help us record this prequel, is that we at Raffles Crew, we've got nearly 400 members now, and we reckon, following our recent survey, that something like 75 or 80 of our members are indeed under pressure from career challenges. Either they're not happy with what they're doing, or they've lost their job unexpectedly, or they're keen to find something else. And we specifically welcome you if you're in that situation. So trailing spouses, come along. Our coffees are free. no charges. Um, and we'll try and help you find that next gig. So, Thammika, any final thoughts before we pause?
Final thoughts, no, but I think just to reiterate that gender does not matter. I think this is a situation that affects many people, and maybe particularly if you're male, you might feel unseen, although you know that this is a valid story because you hold it as well. So I think just to reiterate, everyone's welcome as long as you resonate or as long as you're curious. Definitely welcome to the lunch.
Curious is a really good word. We love curiosity because, no one person can know the answer to everything. But if you carry on being curious, that's kind of good. That's wonderful. Thammika, I can't wait. I'm going to say, look forward to seeing you at Bayer on the day.
Thank
Bless
you.
you all.
See you. Oh.